Hello YouTube. Now recently I posted a cover of Blue Sky by the Allman Brothers, and myself and Keith spent quite a long time trying to get it just right. Me particularly, I put more work into the guitars on there than pretty much anything that I've ever done. I took a couple of weeks really just learning the solo and the little nuances and things like that. It's not entirely perfect. There's a few riffs in there which aren't close, but not quite all the way. But that's okay, because YouTube loves to find something to complain about. So give it to the fans. But anyway, a few things that I learned whilst I was trying to play it that I thought I would pass on to you now in this video. So first off, I'm using my Mustang 3 amplifier here, and I created a tone which was kind of reminiscent of the record. I didn't want to go too close. I wanted my own sound because I haven't got the equipment. I'm only using I'm using a Tele with some little 59 humbuckers in there, so it's not a Les Paul, but you can get a little bit close to the sound if you want. And how I did that, I used a British 80s amp, so it's kind of a Marshall-y sort of a sound. There's a compressor on there, some sine chorus, a little bit of stereo tape delay, and some small hall reverb. Okay, and now most of the there's almost no gain at all. The further you can turn your gain down and all your levels, the better, because it's really got that kind of punchy kind of tone to it. It's still got a little bit of squeal, but there is, that's coming from the Les Pauls. There's hardly any gain or anything like that, so that's the first thing to notice. Now, as I start off the song with the intro, I'm in the middle position here, so I'm using both pickups. I've got these are coil splitable. Okay, so my my bridge humbucker is indeed a humbucker. It's in the down position, and my neck pickup is coil split. Okay. So it gives that kind of in-between sort of wooden kind of a sound. My tone for the entire thing stays the same, and it's almost off. In fact, I would say my tone is on about 3 or 4. It's hardly turned on at all. It's really low, and my volume goes to about 8 at the most, I would say. I've put a little mark on my pot here so that I can tell where I want to turn it to. Okay, so I'm in the middle position, and that's my settings. Now, the thing with the Allman Brothers is the vibrato. Okay, they vibrate so many notes, and also the point to think about is that they vibrate notes that are even just passing notes, and they're so quick that they've got that on just a little note that you fly straight past. For instance, this one here, that one, the 11 on the D string, they get vibrato on it, and they're only flying past it. See how fast you have to get that with your third finger? Okay, so after you've played the intro, you turn your volume down a bit, or I do anyway, turn my volume down a little bit because I'm only playing with the one guitar, and then you play the verse parts. I turn it back up to 8 for the little fills with the dueling guitars. Back down. get the idea. So all the way through, you're kind of playing with your volume knob. Excuse my French, but that creates the dynamics through the song. Now when you get to the solo, you've got two choices. You can either turn your volume onto full and keep in that position. What I do though is I keep it on the 8 and I just switch to my bridge humbucker. It's just a little bit more fun for me to play. I just like the sound of it, but you can get pretty close to the tone either way. A few things that I like to mention about playing long solos like that. I think it's about 3 minutes in the end, all told. You have to take them, because it's not a particularly difficult solo to play. It's not easy, but it's not too difficult either. The problem is that it's long, and you have to try and get through it with as little mistakes as possible if you can, or indeed if that's what you want to do. But what you want to do is you want to take each little riff one at a time. Listen to the record and then play it. Okay. What I do is I use Reaper, or if you've got a similar kind of DAW, or something like that, where you can place a cursor at a certain point in your song, and when you press play, it plays from that point. So instead of stopping a song and then you have to keep on finding the same part, or rewinding, or pausing and finding that riff again, if you can just put the cursor just before it and press play, so it jumps out straight at you as soon as you press that button, you can hear it over and over again as many times as you want, and then you can just translate that onto the guitar. It really helps. Now how I did this was I played so many riffs until I got to a point in the song where I felt like I'd been learning too much. Okay, and I was just starting, it was just starting to leak out of my brain again, As you get so far, you can find yourself forgetting the beginning. So I got to that point where I could still remember everything I learned up to now, but it was probably too much to keep going. And then I just played that over and over again for a few days, really just drumming it into my mind, okay? So I think I got up to maybe about the first minute or so, maybe the first minute 20, before I stopped for a while and just played that. And then say after that, I would, when I've got that down and in my head, I'll keep going for the next part, maybe up to where the second guitar comes in or something like that, and then just drum that in as well. All the time, just keep playing it over and over again until you just remember it, okay? And then once you've done that, when you start playing over the record, you can hear the differences as you play with what's going on the record. So if you're playing a riff slightly wrongly, when you play over the record, you're going to hear what the difference is, and you can put that right, and a good, a tricky point of the solo for me was this part where you're coming into the big bends near the end. It goes. I couldn't get that down. It's so difficult, but it's all in the timing. Okay, so if you think about it, that he's playing these bends. So I would just take that part. Okay, just each little riff, like say even just the 3 notes, and then the next ones. So on the end there I've got. I just play it like that, just keep going until I remembered it. And then I know that my difficult part starts straight after it, so if I get the part before it down, I can really just focus on getting that right, because I'm comfortable with the first piece, and then I can just do this. And I worked out that it goes something like this. It's really the rhythm, like the very first little intro piece is slightly different to the second one, which repeats. Little nuances like that will jump out at you as you're playing over the record, and as you start to really become familiar with it, you have to keep going over and over and over if you want to play things note for note, particularly a song like this. And you'll also hear things like notes where there's vibrato and where there isn't, or where a bend should be slightly further, you know, and you're kind of sloppy with it. All these things, as you keep playing and keep practicing, jump out at you, and you can tweak how you play it each time and get better and better and better. Okay, and so anyway, that's how you would learn a long solo, or that's how I do it anyway. A few points to make about playing things note for note. I don't always agree with it. I think as musicians we should sort of put our own stamp on things and make it sound like we're playing it rather than completely copying somebody else. But then again, playing note for note is a great skill to have, and it's also fantastic for your practice routines and just helping you learn things as a player, because if you play something how somebody that you really look up to plays, you're going to adopt some of those skills into your own playing. And also you'll find that if you spend so much time learning, sorry, I'll turn my volume off. If you spend so much time learning something really closely, when you go to play something else, you'll find it's much simpler to do, okay? And the more you do it, the easier everything becomes, and it has a knock-on effect throughout your playing. So it is definitely a good skill, or even you could call it a tool to use in practice, or just to do sometimes anyway, for your own enhancement, you know. So I recommend doing that. Now, after the solo is finished, you want to go back to your settings that you use for the verse again, and basically just copy it till the end, just turning your volume up and down to about the 8, you know, in the middle position, and just think of the rhythm of the record as you're playing, the vibrato, and the ending is also slightly different this time. It's kind of your intro riff, but it's not quite. It's like sorry. Great song to learn. It's got everything in there, you know, your dueling guitars, your harmonies. It's a great major song. So many songs are minor, and there's very few great major ones, so it's a good thing to have in your arsenal. It's going to teach you an awful lot of riffs if you learn this song, you know, to throw in your own playing. And it's also just a great learning skill to learn a solo that lasts that long. It's great for your memory, it's great for your playing. Hopefully this video helped you along some ways to getting towards it. There's tabs out there, so I don't need to tell you the notes. You can find those out yourself, but if you just apply some of the methods that I talked about, you should be getting there. And yeah, thanks very much. I hope that helped, and I'll see you later for some more videos. Cheers. Bye.